Hello, today I'm starting a new series, Mercury conjunctions. Now, Mercury is really, really important planet in the world we're living in at the moment. However, we are actually stepping into a different period soon. So this is very much to do with now. And the more spiritual side of the world is coming in. So things will change and we will go into more of Jupiterian time. So let's talk about let's talk about Mercury. And so Mercury is the prince. We have the sun, the king, queen is obviously moon, and this is their child, which is Mercury. Mercury in the natural zodiac rules, which is from Aries, rules third house, which is Gemini, and sixth house, which is Virgo. And I'm going to go through these two houses just briefly for those of you who are new to astrology. And I know it's a little bit boring for people who know, but third house is obviously rules hands, fingers, arms, and top of your shoulders. And it's also your throat chakra. Mercury rules your throat chakra. And so sixth house is stomach, digestion, like it's not just digestion of food, but it's also digestion of information, what we watch, what we hear, all of that, and what we see. It's all digesting information. So that's literally what what it's all about. Now, Mercury itself rules speech, rules the nervous system, rules your skin, and rule also allergies. Any form of allergy is to do with Mercury. Mercury is neuter in a sense. It's neither female or male. It's just like it's basically dependent on the house that it's sitting in, the sign that it's sitting in, and the influence that it has. It changes because it's the baby of the zodiac, and it rules Upachaya houses, third and sixth house, so they get better with time. Wherever Mercury sits, because it's obviously rules adolescents and children and young people. So wherever it sits in your chart, you are not obviously with everything to do with life we have to learn, but wherever Mercury is, we have to learn even more about it, if you like. And just like children, Mercury is very flexible with information, because what happens with all of us when we are young, we are much more open to things. We have our pineal gland working. We don't really see color in people, religion. We don't think about their belief systems. We accept everyone. So in a sense, like we don't really think, oh, I don't like this music or that person or anything like that. That's not how we work as a child. We actually, our environment, our conditioning, our parents, our schools, everything sort of shapes us, if you like. So anyway, yeah. So this is like this is the reason why they say wherever Mercury sits, it can. If it's sitting with benefics, it will be benefic. It'll act like a benefic. But if it's in sitting with malefics, it'll be malefic. So, for example, Mercury sitting with Venus will be very different to Mercury sitting with Mars. For one thing, one is friendly with her, the other one is enemy with her. And also, say, for example, as a young child, if you hang around with kids who are troublemakers, you are likely to be conditioned to be like them. So it doesn't necessarily mean you are like them, but you can be conditioned to be like that. Similarly, if you are with people who are quite Jupiterian, quite forward-looking and quite, optimistic and all of that, that is how Mercury is going to function. So it's very changeable, and therefore, as you can see that whatever house we're sitting in, we're a little bit immature about we think we know it, but actually we have to learn a lot more about it too. But Mercury in today's world, it's so important. So I'm just going to go through some of the indications. I haven't really made many notes, so I'm just going to, hopefully everything will come to me. I'm wearing green to honor it, and I'm going to publish this on a Wednesday, which is a day that's ruled by Mercury. It rules emeralds, it rules nature, it rules anything green, plants, it rules fast food, because obviously it's a fast moving planet. So Mercury, as I said, rules third and sixth house of natural zodiac. It's friendly with the sun, very good friends with Venus, and it's also, although some sun, I would say friendly towards Saturn, although it can be a little bit like Saturn, can, if you're sitting with Mercury, can really just drain it. And it's also, Rahu works well in Mercury signs, although I would probably say Rahu is a trickster, can make us tell lies. So if it's with planet of speech, we're more likely to be like fibbing. I'm not saying lying, just fibbing little white lies, things like that. But obviously it's got to be quite, Mercury, it is a malefic really. So, but it's also multi-talented. There are so many things that are ruled by Mercury. It's absolutely incredible. So let's make a start. So obviously it rules third house. So communication, this is exactly what I'm doing now. So it rules all of those things, everything to do with emails, texting, messaging, all social media, all mainstream media, newspapers, journalism, broadcasting. Crikey, what is it that it doesn't do? It rules travel. It rules movement, literally, because you're born first house Aries, second house family. When you get in the nurture of the family, third house, you start moving. It rules kind of also third house, also friends, colleagues, siblings. So this is the very first time you start like arguing with them, right? This is my toy. How you speak, how you get brave, how you get courageous and fight your corner. You express yourself. You're hot, you're cold, you're tired, all of those things. And it's Mercury rules students, young people, rules friends, mates, pals, teamwork, rules, as I said, neighbors, rules neighborhoods, what else? Rules commerce, stock market, money, currency, and obviously dollar notes are green, so it's very Mercury. Rules all forms of information, data, like if you can get like if you wanted to sort of like ask your government for like freedom of information, that's it. So it's all of that data is actually Mercury. Mercury is in everything. So you buy like for example, say if you buy like a vacuum cleaner, it's instruction books is Mercury. Learning is Mercury. Courses, skills, days out, picnics, cinema, singing, dancing, music, learning music, playing music, partying, all of those things are all Mercury and all third house. Making things with your hands is your dexterity is also Mercury. Mercury rules herbs. So herbal, Ayurvedic, healing things, all sixth house. So this is again Mercury. Reiki, massage, personal training, exercise, yoga. What else? Oh my God, there's so many things that it rules. Recipes, when you're cooking, recipes. Bringing people into your groups and teams and all of those things. It's also sixth house of competition is also to do with that as well. It's basically your ability to work things out. So like, you get a puzzle in front of you as a kid and you see the space that is empty and you're trying to match the shapes of toys to that. And so ability to work that out is and that as we grow older as well. So obviously, we could have like a cryptic puzzle, crosswords, all of those are. So it's also entertainment of whatever we are interested in. So whether it's YouTube, learning, or watching Netflix, all of those things are all to do with Mercury. Mercury is the organizer, and is practical, is intellectual. It's not intelligence. Intelligence is the sun, and it's not logical. That is Mars. So your how you organize yourself. This is also very much from the very, very moment you wake up. How do you organize yourself? I have to say, last 2.5 years, I just have not been able to. It just seems to take me longer and longer and longer to get myself sorted, because there's so much information going on, and I want to be really in, because of the other jobs that I do, I need to be in the know. So it's just taking me longer and longer to get these videos done and actually fit them in, and everything has been really trying. I'm also doing mercurial things, in the sense that I'm doing gardening, growing vegetables and herbs, and making my own potions and lotions and things. So that's all Mercury. Mercury is commerce, merchandising, displays in the shops, all of those wonderful things that you see for festivities, Christmas or carnivals and things like that. They're all to do with display. So it attracts the eye because we're taking information in, that kind of thing. And obviously the worst thing of all is when we are on our mobiles. I mean, I've deleted all the big apps now. I mean, my phone is literally so old anyway, but it's got no ability to have any form of apps on there. So all of those things are obviously graphic design, marketing, things like that. They're all to do with Mercury. And obviously Mercury is quite fickle, so this is how you can get yourself into trouble, because you could be like on Facebook. Oh God, I've had to delete everything. I am not actually dealing with any big companies, although I deal with YouTube and Zoom obviously at the moment. So, but generally speaking, you get trapped into that. So they trick you into like, you're watching something, and because they're listening to your conversation, that advertising comes in. Before you know it, you bought something from Amazon, you bought something else from Amazon, that leads you to another one, and before you know it, you got all these things that you don't need. And so it's very impulsive because it is young, and also that's Rahu as well, but it is also Mercury. And partying, picnicking, organizing barbecues, days out at the beach, going to the zoo, pets, rescue animals, all of those things are to do with sixth house as well. Sixth house is also work. So how do you get yourself organized in the morning? So you get up, you exercise, eat, shower, and get yourself organized, so you leave in time to get to work in time. That's all Mercury. How you then organize yourself at work in order to meet your deadlines, that's Mercury. Working with others, trying to get on with others, create teamwork, that's also Mercury. Mercury is also practical, so it's going to be like a really strong. Mercury knows how to gain information, how to utilize information, what's good. It uses a lot of discernment, so it's quite clever, quite good in the sense, also it's green, so it's envy and jealousy is Mercury. So it could be like you. I mean, obviously I've got the green on today, so, and this is when you see that you realize that every planet has got a real negative side to it. So with Mercury, it could be very much about like noticing other, because it rules sixth house of critical, and it doesn't miss detail, is sixth house. And obviously sixth house of natural zodiac is Virgo. Is an earth sign. It's all to do with money, and it's very materialistic. So it's noticing what somebody else has and you haven't. And so it can, this is something that you've got to realize also, that particularly Mercury, when it is in earth signs, it's very materialistic. So they've got a new car, you notice that. Like your friend has got a new pair of earrings or something, you notice that. So they're very like, oh yeah, I noticed that. It's also like that if planets that are in Mercury nakshatras, which rules Ashlesha, Jyeshta, and Revati. Revati not so much, but definitely, I'm saying not so much, it doesn't mean, but Mercury nakshatras could be a little bit like that, where they're a little bit like you notice things and it's like, oh, I wish they're gone on holiday, I wish I could have done that. So just be careful, because you don't want to create like negative energy for yourself. So never send it out. When you say something to somebody, make sure it doesn't have a double meaning. So always protect your karmas. You're intelligent, you're doing astrology, so you want to just like make your own life better. But like when some people give you double-edged, like they don't really mean it, so they just give you a compliment, but it's like a backhanded one. So all of us know, we know that we don't want something like that, because they don't really mean it. So, but actually what they do, these people, they make it harder for themselves. And inevitably we all have a sixth house, and sixth house is obviously is how you see that jealousy, and it's enemies as well. But we know them because sixth house is like an open house, so we actually notice and feel the energy that is negative, whereas eighth house and 12th house are secret enemies. We don't know that, they're just like doing it's like a little bit like voodoo-ish, bad black energy. But all of that, all it does, it traps that person in that negative thing. So I think it's always good to just let it go, because we all have these earth signs in our chart. We all have Mercury nakshatras in our chart, so we can't really say that, oh, but I'm not like that. We can there's always going to be a situation where we can be like that. So we just have to, as spiritual souls who are awakened and want to just like have the better life, when you see that and you feel really bad, just like you send those bad energies away and just protect yourself, and just send love to other people, because you don't really know what they're going through. They could all be smiley, and that's not really necessarily how their life is. So what else? Okay, so I said, obviously Mercury rules, it's like Jupiter, it's really good for first house. So gets directional strength in the first house of the chart. So if it's in the ascendant, whether it's in D1 or any other of your subcharts, then that subchart you have massive focus on. Also works really well in the eighth house. That is one house that I can truly say the only planet that works really well in the eighth house is Mercury. So if you have it in your chart already, or one of your subcharts, or you're going to go through a planetary period, but Mercury is in your eighth house. I'm going through that right now. I'm loving it. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, brilliant. And actually, if Mercury is also in, so despite all the difficulties that I've been through, I am just making the most of this sub period, because sub period of Mercury for me has just literally, that's what it's done. It's brought in the astrology that I've been studying for years. It's just made me want to share that with others. It's like a free gift to the world, write off some of my karma, even though I seem to be so ill. So I don't know, maybe like he's creating some issues along the way as well. But anyway, it's other people's issues. So you just got to just be open-hearted, don't you? And yeah, so if you have that in any subchart, happy days, that's brilliant. In one of the chart that having eighth house Mercury is fantastic, whether it is naturally in there or in a dasha, is when you get it in your D11 Aya. I don't mean the normal one, I mean the Aya, when Sage Aya is Iyer. If you get it in that one and Mercury is in the eighth house, you could suddenly gain. Now that gain, it could be monetary, it normally is. However, it could also be gain of knowledge, it could be gain of great friends, because obviously rules friends, gain of information that's important, gain of like lots of travel, a great job, all of that things. So all of those groups that can help you is amazing. So it also only has only aspects 7 houses opposite house, that's it. So so blesses is a benefic anyway, but it's if by association it is sitting with the malefic, and malefics are Saturn, Mars, Rahu, Ketu, then there is a difficulty there. And it's also not very good with Jupiter. Jupiter and Mercury are not very good. So you will notice that if you got Mercury in Jupiter signs or Jupiter nakshatras, which is Purnavasu, Vishaka, and also Purva Bhadrapada, Mercury doesn't do very well at all in these. And what it does, it just expands the person's mind and thinking process and learning. And it's very difficult to consolidate all that learning. So yeah, and it just really focuscapes the person for a while. If you've got a Mercury which is debilitated, don't worry, because you also need to know whether or not what the condition is in your D9. That is really what is going on, not necessarily D1. And the Navamsha chart, if if you find that it's in a strong position, then that is, sometimes when they're debilitated, they can be exalted in the Navamsha. But just check that, because this is the reason why it's very important to know to the minute when you were born. And what else? So the other thing is as well, it's also Mercury is in certain houses gives you wonderful ability. So as I said, 8th house and 1st house. 6th house is good as well, because obviously it's going to help you organize things, because Mercury is really good at working at obstacles of life and how to tackle those and get over those issues with using your intellect, being practical, and just like getting the timings right, getting the cooperation that you need in order to do things well. And Mercury, because it's a planet that likes to get on with other people, work with other people, is it can give you many what do you call it? It's a merchant, so you can actually get on with anyone. And so Mercury, as I said, is speech. When it's aspected by Rahu, or if it's in the 12th house or has got 12th house Lord aspect or something like that, it can actually, if it's in a good condition, it can really help you learn languages very quickly and just work out really sort of things to do with space, with astronomy, with other realms, with mysterious things. So amazing. It's got so many facets to it, really. It's unbelievable. And sometimes though, when Mercury is overly strong, where it's like in quite rigid signs and things, it can be too left-brained. So it could just be like, it could be just far too intellectual to actually really see the spiritual side of life. This is what, this is some of the reason why we've struggled because the world is so Rahu, so Mercury. And but obviously things to do with the source, with spiritual growth, awakening, like the other realms, and just being connected, psychic things. If they can't see it, they can't believe it. So they're really a little bit stuck in a 3D world, really, where, oh well, prove it to me. And even if you prove it to them, if it's not in an intellectual manner, they really struggle with that. They just like, I don't know, it doesn't sit with them very well. So there is this issue there as well. So it's worth knowing that too. And what else do I want to say? So I already told you the planets that is, it works well with. One of the things is also that Mercury is obviously, when you are like Gemini ascendant or Virgo ascendant, what happens is Jupiter is in your 7th house. So this is why sometimes, this is what they call the Badak house for them, because what happens is for the dual signs, their 7th house or 7th lord can give them troubles. We all have that, so it's not just necessarily just them, but this is just for Gemini and Virgo ascendant. So they have some obstacles to get through to learn about, like relationships, business relationship, partnerships and things like that. And so Yeah, so that's the because they are attracted to somebody who is very like spiritual and thinking like the big picture, whereas they are stuck very much in the detail, like particularly Virgo, in the small detail, and they can't see how everything in the big picture is going to work out if the little detail is wrong. So they could be a little bit stuck with detail too, particularly Virgo ascendant. So but yeah, so this is why there are some challenges there, whereas Jupiter wants to see the big picture, and they attracted to people. I mean, this is how the balance in the world is really, but they're just thinking, oh, I'm reading all this classical, information, and there she is, or he is, on his social media, like uh, doing this and that. So and like the Geminis particularly like the gossipy columns and things like that. And yeah, so it's a little bit like two worlds apart, but that's how they balance each other out too. Anyway, I'm going to just kind of bring this to an end now. Hopefully I haven't missed anything. If I have, I will add it in another video, but let's start. I'm going to start with Mercury Sun together, because Mercury is a very fast moving planet, so as a result can be a bit fickle. It rules gay people as well, and it is also comedic. It's got fantastic timing. It's full of one-liners. It can mimic anything. It's all to do with copying, any printing, copying of anything. Is all of that. All jobs that are clerical are ruled um, by Mercury. Taxi drivers which travel short distances, short distance travel is ruled by them. They are also mercurial, because they do like small chat, social butterflies, that kind of thing. So anyway, let's start the ascendants. Thank you very much. Okay, I just came across some other notes about Mercury, so I thought I'd just put them in as well. So obviously Mercury rules internet, rules gaming, all sorts of gambling and things like that as well. It can be to do with Rahu, Mercury, but Mercury is all the entertainment places where we go to have fun, whether it's like ski slopes, indoor skiing, indoor sort of skating, all of those things have got things to do with Mercury. Mercury is also the editor too. So when you actually go through your, I don't know, say, apologies, so you write an essay and you go through it, that's also like Mercury editing, taking things out, or even editor or newspaper is ruled. They're all ruled by Mercury. It's our talents, how we learning by repetition, because it's copying. So it learns through repeating, learning. It's very factual, and this is the reason why it can kind of question certain belief systems. I can't see it, so it doesn't exist, that kind of thing. So this is why there's a problem between Mercury and Jupiter, because one is just like, doesn't need to see it. It can feel God. It can feel it can walk on grass and feel Mother Nature. That's just like they are connected. They can receive downloads and things more easily, those people who are with higher realm. But whereas if you're stuck too much in the can't see it, so it doesn't exist, so it's just a lot more limited in that sense. It's ideas and social ability. Sun, Mercury, very bright. I just got actually a few notes that are from many years ago, so I thought I'd just share them with you as well. It's like Mercury, Rahu can give you, because obviously Mercury is what you call skin, can give you acne. Mercury, Mars can give you inflammation, eczema, that kind of thing. Mercury, Saturn can give dark patches on your skin. Mercury, Sun can give you sunburn, but it's the person will be very bright as a button, particularly if Mercury is not combust. And so let's see. Okay. So in the first house, this is like, obviously Mercury is chatting. If they go in the first house, they like to talk about themselves. Mercury in the second house like to talk about money, food, family. Third house like to talk about siblings and friends. Fourth house like to talk about land, property, mum, talking with mum. Fifth house like to love life and poems, poetry, and Sixth house likes to talk about work and nutrition. Seventh house likes to talk about love. Eighth house loves to talk about death, sex, siblings, taboo stuff. Ninth house talks about religion and belief system. 10th house likes to talk about work. 11th house likes to talk about friends and networks. 12th house likes to talk about bed pleasures. It's hilarious. Okay, so careers that, what kind of things? It can be so many things. It can be scientists. It could be curious about, skilled, talented, quick wit, jack of all trades. So obviously this is not careers. This is just all things about Mercury. It can be I'll put calculator. Calculators are ruled by Mercury. It's obviously a communicator, follower of the rules. If it's in bad dignity with Rahu, it can be a thief or tell fibs. It doesn't necessarily have to be really, really bad and bend the rules. It can also be an eternal student. It's a great researcher, helpful, mediator, versatile, realist, friends, connections, sense of humor, loves knowledge, juggles things, especially with Swati Nakshatra. It's a realist and no harsh opinions if not involved with Mars. So Mars makes it that way. Obviously, and I've written like things about speech therapy, can be one of the jobs that they do. Mercury helps us manage our life. They make good astrologers, astronomers with Rahu. Even a Kendra of Jupiter, great for knowledge and colleges. He rules post office stamps, stamp collecting. Anything you collect is ruled by Mercury. And rules lungs, nose, hips, autism, ADHD, anything green, helpful. Already said that. Non-threatening, rules animal kingdom. And what else got here? It's your dexterity. Mercury in the second house of D4 will be good, obviously, because for property and things. Likes writing, marketing and networking, information technology, particularly with Mars or Rahu, sculpting, hand skills, philosophy as is practical. Jupiter will be more spiritual philosophy. Youth, childhood behavior. If it rules you look younger. Plastic surgery as somebody wants youth. Plastic surgeon is Mars. It's pretty amazing. Behavior of bird, as they move a lot like birds. So amazing. Mercury rules obviously matures at 32, so it takes the houses. You get fruits more as it gets older. It rules herbs, pizza. It's a bridge between inside and out. It's Karaka of acting, dancing, and writing. Allergies is analyzes things, intellect, education, learning, and additional learnings that we take later. It's a client, trade, business, aunts and uncles, and grandfather, maternal side, younger siblings, and acid. Okay, let's see what else we have. This is so much fun because I've seen these things for years. So Mercury transiting your natal Mercury element every 6 years is a pivotal time. Oh, so yeah, so if so that's amazing because it happens every 6 years. It goes into where it was when you were born. So yeah. And each elemental return, you refine another subtle part of your life, self-development. That's definitely Mercury. Mercury ahead of the Sun is the more superior conjunction. So rather than the other way around, Sun ahead, yeah, as long as it's not combust. So what else do we have? It's obviously, I said, it's trickster, i.e. Mercury retrograde in Aries, something new, because obviously it's a pioneering sign, Aries. Mercury retrograde for transformation. Okay, Mercury retrograde can be expressive by means of writing, alchemy, magic, connections. Gambling as is fifth house, so third house is habits. So Mercury, messenger of God, whatever house it's in, messenger of that house. Mercury in Aquarius, evolution and consciousness, alignment with others, intellectual evolution. Mercury equals spread of the message, throat chakra. Mercury in Pisces is more intuitive, spiritual, and less to do with kind of practicality. So it's like spiritual intellect. So combust Mercury means we need to learn to ask for what we want. If Mercury's seventh lord in the D9, intelligent partner, fickle-minded, unpredictable, somehow younger. Mercury does not do well in Jupiter signs. Obviously, we know that. Mercury and K2, great placement for acting illusion. Mercury rules environment, schools, young people's school. I said that already. Friends, thinking. Third house is thinking. Mercury is in third house, chatterbox. In Libra, this is a great platform for them because of other people, you see. Mercury and Saturn, indication towards skin issues, disease, or Mercury in Capricorn, melasma, pigmentation. It's in friendly sign as well, so it's always give and take these things. Right, so that's it. A few other things. Mercury retrograde, actually, these people always go back on what they say. They constantly going back and reviewing, revising, reassessing what they've said. But, you know, Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year. It's not such a bad thing, because if Mercury is too strong, we just can be like chatterboxes, like, look at my video, how long it has been. So this is like tribute to Mercury. Anyway, guys, have a lovely time. A great day, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Hello, this video is about Mars and Mercury conjunction in your chart. So, as you know, Mars is the indicator of blood and muscles. It rules sports, competitive sports as well. It's also, it's our bravery, it's our will, energy levels, it's our logic. It rules metals and things that come from the ground, like petroleum, and all the beautiful metals like gold, aluminium, platinum, silver, etc., etc. It's obviously very important in construction, like bridges, iron bridges, and all that kind of stuff. It's also it's mechanical, it's engineering, and obviously with Mercury now, it's going to create like a kind of like what do you call them, a computer engineer, software engineer, that kind of thing. And it also rules, obviously Mars rules naturally, rules Aries, which is all about pioneering, independence, freedom. It rules, it's actually the caracal, the significator of siblings and land and property. It's what else do I want to tell you about? It's debilitated in the 4th house. It's exalted in Capricorn, which is the 10th house of natural zodiac, because together it gives the foundation, it gives that earthiness, grounds Mars's energy, if you like. And generally speaking, it's a planet that does pretty well in earthy signs, calms it down a little bit, you know, just gives it more focus. It's got directional strength in the 10th house, and it's arch enemies to Mercury. Mercury and Mars just do not get on. It's literally Mars is quite impulsive. Its energy is anger, it's fearsome, it's war, it's stabbing, it's anything that's like sharp, surgery, accidents. It rules all those kind of things, you know, like as I said, it rules Aries. That's all about like me, myself, and I, and it also rules color red. It rules Scorpio, which is like 8th house of natural zodiac, because it's so impulsive, it can create accidents. And it's all things to do with spying, the surveillance, security, firefighters, all those kind of jobs are ruled. Police, army, forces, navy. If it's with Rahu, it'll be like space stuff. Yeah, interesting, very, very interesting. It's also quite it works better in Virgo, I find, than it does in an air sign. Air sign is just, it's not really this, you know, because this is, you know, a police officer, an army person, you know, and when there's like a lot of Mercury, it's not friendly with it. And actually Gemini is quite the gossipy side of like, look who's doing what on internet, and look at the latest sort of social media thing. And for a sort of like a soldier, it's a little bit like it's too fickle, you know. So it needs the groundedness of, you know, Jupiter or Saturn, really, to just really ground it in order to get the best out of it, if you like. And it can control, it's like forceful, it's controlling, it's and obviously it's fighting as well. Any form of conflict is all to do with Mars. Mars is always activated in those situations, although Venus is as well. So Venus, Mars together can create all those sort of like conflicts too. And so what else do I want to say? Basically Mars when it's with Mercury, it doesn't make a great advisor really to other people, especially to your partner. It's you know, so yeah, particularly if it's like Mercury is your 7th house part, you know, 7th house ruler. If it's with Mars, you know, you can just be a bit controlling and towards your partner and things like that. It's with Moon, when it's with the Moon, obviously Mars is different because it creates this like land thing as well. They create nice yogas together, but generally speaking, it's more like an engineering thing, this when the two of them are together. And it could also be that they secretly listen to people's, you know, surveillance, that kind of thing. Mercury is conversations and Mars is like spying on them, and all those like secret kind of jobs, they'll all be like part of this anyway. And also obviously you know, 8th house is not always just that. They can create some really excellent surgeons too. So this just trying to see if like if I've said everything about Mars. I think, you know, Mars is obviously from the camp that's to do with, it's friendly with the Sun, Jupiter, and Moon, whereas Mercury is from the Venus and Saturn camp, so they're quite different. It's in it co-rules Scorpio with K2. K2 is quite similar. Both of them are quite sharp and piercing in their action, but with the with K2 is more precision. It's more like mathematical and more scientific, and whereas Mars is more engineering in that sense. So anyway, let's have a look at the for the ascendants. So when you bring Mars together with Mercury for Aries ascendant, like in this case, I mean, you know what happened when Mars was, you know, Mars is like, it just brings out all the viruses when it's in all kind of like all issues, health issues in you know, in the 6th house, you know, just outs them. Anyway, when you got this situation, first and 8th house ruler and 3rd and 6th house ruler, excuse me, you know that that person is going to have some health issues. It's going to have some sudden changes in their life. Excuse me, just going to get some water. And through some hardships, difficulty, and maybe even addictions, because of the 6th house, they could actually get some get their life can improve. Sorry about that. I've been doing loads of videos today, so losing my voice. And it could also be somebody who is obviously very good at yoga, because sixth house is all those martial arts, all those disciplines which are really good for Mars to just get focused. Mars does really, really well, particularly obviously if it's with Mercury, it does really well to do all those meditation or Tai Chi. There's another form of martial arts. All those forms of martial arts are excellent for them. So if you've got a child who has this, really use them for that reason, but these people can just literally, I mean, this person here obviously will be able to just work things out, just open like any form of digital or mechanical machinery, and they can just work out how it works. Also they can really, through a lot of self-effort and applying themselves, being organized, being really they could just literally pave a completely different life for themselves. So they go through all these difficulties, but they do really well eventually. And already, so it already creates a Viparit Raj Yoga, which is success after hardship. So that will be absolutely fine. Obviously, Mars is debilitating in the fourth house, and Mercury in the 12th house, which is Pisces. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's better if neither of them are debilitated, because already they don't work very well together. But both of them will be fantastic in the 10th house. They will be really good. Actually, in the third house will be difficult, because Mars is the significator of siblings. So there could be some major issues with siblings. In the sixth house will be really good. Mars' sixth house is excellent. So is Mercury. So they work really well there. And just generally speaking, you don't want it, because Mars is create kind of kusha doshas, Mangal dosh. So it could be quite, they could be quite piercing with their words. But this will also be somebody who could be a comedian. They have a wicked sense of humor, and they just be really sharp, but they could be really cutting too, so because that they're really good at detail, and so they could be also quite forceful. So because of Mars really being like that, so they could be quite pushy towards their friends. You got to be aware of these things, so because Mercury's friends, siblings, but on the other hand, if they had hobbies that were really quite good at keeping them, they need action. Mars is action. It's not a reactive planet. It's very much proactive. So if it's actually they have lots of hobbies, and they are with really good groups of friends, where they do like cadets, they like clean rivers and all of those, service to the others, look after rescue pets, rescue animals, things that are really focuses Mars, and they do really, really well. So, and it also can be pretty good in the 11th house, so it's going to affect the 5th house. But I mean, the thing is with this Mangal dosh, I mean, it just makes like nearly everybody in the world has got something. It's very rare that people don't have these issues, but we just learn how to deal with them and work with it. Really, that's the best thing. So next one is so this brings together what would be for Taurus ascendant, 2nd and 5th house ruler, and 7th and 12th house ruler. So these people will be like spontaneously spending money. They make money, save money, spend money. So it's like this cycle of like getting the money. And because 12th house ruler Mars is impulsive, particularly, and 2nd house ruler. So, but they like to spend it on their family. They like to spend it on their children, on education, and on their spouse, going places with their spouse, and family, things like that. So there is also that thing as well. Mars obviously for these people is debilitated in the 3rd house. So they might, if it goes in the 3rd house, this combination in the 3rd house, Mars will be debilitated, and also the significator of the siblings will be in the 3rd house of siblings. So that would not be good in any way. And Mercury will be debilitated in the 11th house there. So yeah, it's interesting. So in that sense, but on the other hand, it could be that these people will have like they'll have like interests, for example. You can use it in that sense, that, so if you want to keep the Mars and Mercury both, with the children, or get some education or creativity, could be like to do like making films, which is like technical. So Mars is going to enjoy that, making like Mercury would like all the editing of it as well. And so they could be quite sharp, big films that are just like quite quite witty. And also they could be really good at doing, I was just thinking, like making jewelry, things like that, because second house is also like possessions like that, and Mars rules metals. So if that could be nice things that they can actually focus that Mars on, because technically it's quite logical, so you can do that sort of stuff too. And their youngsters will be very, very techy too, because it brings fifth house ruler. But obviously, it's if it goes, because it creates like a Dana yoga, and also Raja yoga. Yeah, particularly if it goes in the first house or ninth house or fifth house, as it is. So it does create nice yogas, Raj yoga and Dana yogas too. Okay. For Gemini ascendant, this will be first and fourth house ruler and sixth and 11th house ruler. So the sixth house breaks the good yogas until we are a bit older. But this obviously means that they could be like work like as a painter decorator, or they could be like mother could have poor health, or they could be in a property management thing with their mum, work with their mum and gain through that, because 11th house is gain, or they can gain a home from their mum. And I would probably see this more like somebody who does work like who might be a plumber or electrician, have those fantastic skills for actually making the space into builder or something like that, if in a Saturn sign. So that could be pretty good, or if Saturn has got anything to do with it. So in that case it could be good. But so it could make them, but they obviously, with Mercury, Mars, you always got to watch your speech, because you could actually make enemies with this. Sixth house is enemies and 11th house is friends. So just it's good to be aware of that. Okay, so let's go to my computer. Does this funny stuff. Oh my goodness me. Okay, so Cancer ascendant, this will be like third and 12th house ruler, and the Yoga Karaka planet, which is like fifth and 10th house ruler. So Mars is very, very important planet with for Cancer ascendants. And what Mercury does, delays things, because you have to put effort into it, you have to learn skills, you have to be better at communicating. So, and obviously these are not the things that basically Mercury is not that good with these sort of things for this ascendant. However, it does create a really, really creative job, because they could be working in the theaters behind the scene. They could be obviously filming abroad. There could be like educational work. There could be a politician, ambassador or something like that. So that in terms of those, if they're in good condition, they could be pretty good. So, but obviously some of that will break if it goes into the sixth house, which is Sagittarius, and but otherwise in other houses will be pretty much okay, even in the 12th house, because despite the fact that it's a sign that can actually the house, 12th house is debilitated sign for them, but because then it could just be that they work in abroad or something like that, because it's actually Mercury rules that sign, so it's not as debilitated as we think. So next ascendant, Leo ascendant. So Mercury is important planet, so is Mars. So Mercury makes money for Leo, and Mars is a Yoga Karaka, rules a trinal house, which is like ninth house, and fourth house, which is an angle. So together they create money, wealth, happiness, success, education, you know, they just like gives them loads of networks and things that they can gain from. And if Mercury, you know, if it's in good placement, like for example, if it is in Gemini, you know, groups and everything else can give them all their leads to get success. And so it could be really good, as long as it's obviously it's not in the sixth house. However, even in the sixth house, Mars will be exalted there, and Mercury does well in the sixth house, but it will break the yoga, and they have to wait for those fruits a bit longer because they just get obstacles, enemies, debts, issues, you know, along the way. But Mars in the sixth house helps you fight through any health disease, health or any issues like that. But for the sake of like good yogas, you want it to be occurring in good houses, really. Like for example, if it was in a trinal, I mean, actually, if it was in the first house, it would be the best, because both of them have got good dignity there. Mercury's got directional strength in the first house. It'd be very, very focused in getting what it wants, and it just makes all of those yogas much stronger in that sense. Yeah. And if it was in the 10th house, which was Taurus, then Mars will have directional strength and Mercury will be in a friendly sign, so that works pretty well. So it pretty much works. If one doesn't, the other one does. But sixth house will make everything delayed, more difficult maybe. Right, so for Virgo ascendant, first house and 10th house are ruled by Mercury, and third and eighth house by Mars. So you know that there's going to be chop and changes in themselves. There could be some addiction issues, there could be some letting go issues, you know, that kind of, some secrets about themselves, about their work, about their siblings, about their friends, and hobbies that they do. But third and eighth house don't break any yoga. So if they go into a nice house, like if they go into the fifth house, Mars will be exalted. Mercury also, you know, is first house ruler in the fifth house. So it would be great elevation for their work. They could be a fantastic politician, fantastic advisor, teacher, professor, service to others. So that could be really amazing. And if it goes into even seventh house, but Mercury will be debilitated there. So I think probably if we say ninth house will be good, because Mercury will be in a friendly sign and Mars will be in neutral. If it goes in the 10th house, will be amazing. Mercury rules there. Mars is exalted there. So yeah, I mean, obviously in the 11th house, Mars will be debilitated, and the 7th, Mercury will be debilitated, and 6th house will just, you know, but don't worry if you got a 6th house one, because what happens is those two planets work well in the 6th house, and it does eventually give you some fruits anyway. Next ascendant, Libra. So for Libra ascendant, Mars rules 7th and 2nd house, so good houses, and Mercury rules 9th and the 12th house. So you know straight away this is going to create what is called a done yoga. Second house, house of money, is now, when it's in conjunction with trinal houses, it can create money, so money and luck. So this will be good for that reason, and pretty much as long as it doesn't go into the 6th house, it should be okay. 6th house is Pisces. Mercury will also be debilitated there, so we want to avoid that one. And also in the 10th house, Mars will be debilitated. However, Mars in the 10th house will be also have directional strength. So but if it was in the Libra, what will happen is Mercury is in a friendly sign. It also creates a lovely Raja Yoga and Dhan Yoga being in the 1st house, directional strength there. Mars is in a neutral sign, and it'll be aspecting the 7th house, protecting that one. And it creates on its own, creates a Dhan Yoga as well, 2nd house ruler in the 1st house, Raja Yoga, 7th house ruler in the 1st house. So pretty good in that sense. But you just got to be, they're very self-motivated, you know, and they could be a little bit pushy towards partner if that's the case. So got to be careful with that. Right, Scorpio ascendant. So Mars will be 1st and 6th house ruler. So, you know, Mars is going to break any kind of yoga in that case. Things will take a long time to happen. They could actually create their own problems. because first house ruler also rules the sixth house, so they create their own enemies, their own obstacles, their own debt and health issues, because they're just impulsive, you know, they're so competitive. So, and this will be like 8th and 11th house rulers, so they could be competitive with their friends. They could be, everything they do comes from competitiveness, really. So, but what will happen is, if, say, for example, sixth house is also house of work, so there could be great healers, personal trainers, there could be Reiki people, scientists, nurses, emergency, you know, because eighth house is emergency. So emergency work, like firefighters, all that kind of thing, they do a wonderful job there. So, you know, there is always some sort of thing. And because this is also creating like Vipratraj yoga, so it's like connecting 12th and 6th house, 12th and 8th house, or 8th and 6th house together, it creates, there will be success eventually. So there we are. Sagittarius ascendant, this will be like, so this is Mars rules 5th and 12th house, so it rules a very strong trinal house, and Mercury rules 7th and 10th house. So bringing them together creates fantastic Raja yogas. If, like, for example, if it happened in the second house, Mars will be exalted, Mercury is in friendly sign, and that creates a Dana yoga as well. It's also Mahapurush yoga as well. And if it happens, say, for example, in the 10th house, Mercury will be in own sign again as another Mahapurush yoga, Bhadra yoga, and also Mars has got directional strength. So this will be somebody who will be a fantastic lawyer, medicine. It'll be amazing. It'll be like, they could also be deal with like pediatrics, working with children teachers, advisors, psychotherapy, and all those kind of things could happen too. Amazing. And 12th house could be like hospitals, so they could be working in hospitals too. Capricorn ascendant is Mars obviously rules 4th and 11th house, and Mercury rules 6th and 9th house. So, you know, for these people, it could just be that they 6th house could be like they work with groups of friends, and they could be do property maintenance, property management, all that kind of stuff. 6th house is going to spoil any yogas in that sense, really. So they could have like debts and things, they could have enemies within their groups and things, or they could, you know, borrow money, overstretch themselves and things. But, you know, this excuse me, but if they go both in the 6th house, they are pretty good at working things out. And even in the 9th house that they are there now, you know, they will be quite intellect and logic comes together, so they can still create something. Particularly in Virgo, will do pretty well, really. Obviously, just got to, you know, obviously can give issues with the dad, but yeah, pretty okay. If it's in the 1st house, you know, Mars is exalted, Mercury's got directional strength, so eventually the riches come in. You know, service will really help them being offset. They will be really hard workers too. For Aquarius ascendant, this is like 3rd and 10th house ruler, and 5th and 8th house ruler. So this is pretty good for work. They could be like very informed psychotherapists and advisors. They could also be like train people who are in the military and secret service and things like that too. And also they could be into occults, they could be in inspirational speakers. They could also literally just be very good teachers, very learned, you know, particularly if this happens in really good houses, you know, that would be pretty amazing. So if, for example, if it happens in the 3rd house, so this would be like you know, like I mean, obviously, it's not great for siblings, but you know, it's also going to be aspect in the 10th house there. If you wouldn't want Mars in the 4th house, really, because it's debilitated, so it's not great. And but even in the 6th house there, you know, eventually through some difficulties, they'll be able to give some fruits. So in the 10th house, Mars will have, you know, not only is it own sign, but it's like a Mahapurush yoga. But it's also like it's got directional strength. So that would be probably the best place, really, I think, in that terms. It'll be good in the 9th house because that creates nice Raja yogas. So yeah, that's pretty good. And then if we go for, as long as 6th house, I think 6th house is a little bit difficult because we have to wait for the fruits, and Mars can make us impulsive, but we can work on all of that, you know, so it's not a problem. Pisces ascendant. So this is 2nd and 9th house ruler Mars, good planet for Pisces, and 4th and 7th house ruler. So this already gives you wonderful, it's wonderful for money, 2nd and 9th house ruler. You know, when it comes, it brings Raja yogas in. And if it goes like in the 1st house, although Mercury will be debilitated, it'll have directional strength and it will protect the 7th house. If it goes in the 4th house, Mercury rules that. Mars also you know, is the ruler of land, so it will, you know, it will guarantee them that as well. And if it is like in the 7th house, obviously not great for the relationship, but it could also be depending on some degrees and things, it can give gay relationships too. And if it is, say, in the 8th house, it could be suddenly they gain this money, sudden things. But in the 10th house would be just amazing because that Mars will have directional strength and it will bring together another angle for them as well. So it'd be lovely. In the 11th house will be smashing because, you know, Mars is going to be exalted. It's also 2nd house ruler in the 11th house. So it's pretty good for that reason. So that's it from me, guys. And look after yourself. I'll see you soon. Thank you.